Welcome to The World Awaits.
Travel tales to inspire your wanderlust.
I'm Kirstie Bedford, journalist, editor and travel writer.
And I'm Belinda Jackson, author, travel journalist and columnist, and we're your weekly co-hosts. Welcome back to The World Awaits. How are you all?
Hi everyone! Before I ask how your week has been, Belle, we have a giveaway we need to mention. It's time's running out to win this one. And it's going to be a great little Christmas present. So we have a copy of Emma Shaw's book, Ultimate Island Escapes by Heidi Grant, up for grabs. So for those who listened to the interview a few weeks back, and if you didn't, scoot on back and have a listen, you'll recall Emma talked about some of the 40 islands she featured in her book. And you'll need to go back anyway and have a listen to win it, because to win it, you have to drop us a line at hello@theworldawaits.au and tell us one of the islands that Emma mentions in her interview. And be quick, because this giveaway ends next week. So right, Belle, you've just come back from the beautiful Hunter Valley, so tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. The Hunter Valley, if you don't know, is a couple of hours north of Sydney, and I was up there for the Australian Society of Travel Writers annual convention. And we were staying at the Oaks Cypress Lakes, which is set in bushland, literally kangaroos bouncing all over the place. And next door is the Alicia Wellness Retreat. If you are scratching your head over this one, it used to be known as the Golden Door and was one of the sort of bellwether premier spa destinations. And I was last there about 1,000 years ago. So I thought, well, it would be rude not to pop in and see how it's faring, right?
Yes, absolutely. Love a spa getaway. And I was at Gwingana about 1,000 years ago, which is, well, it wasn't 1,000 years ago, but which is in the Gold Coast hinterland. Actually, my mum and I went there for her 70th and absolutely loved it. Although I'm not so sure how you'd go, Belle, because we were woken up with a knock on the door at dawn for a sunrise hike. So I know the hiking you would have been fine with, but dawn's not really your hour now, is it? Let's be honest.
Brutal. When I'm on the road, it is. When I'm at home, I don't think so. But, get up pre-dawn for photos, hikes. I can do it. Massage, God, get me out there, I can do it. But so the point is, I will get up at dawn for the right reason. Okay, anyway. But this year, Golden Door, when it was at the time, was the first time I'd experienced a real health retreat. No caffeine, no sugar, no salt, no meat, no alcohol in the residential packages. Although I understand it's a bit more relaxed now. I mean, it was just, it was quite a shock to me. And it was really wellness oriented. And there were women, sobbing in the communal dining area from all of their, I thought, man, maybe they were crying because I had no caffeine or alcohol, but it could have also been from all the therapies, that they were doing, digging.
Soul searching.
Yeah, soul searching. This time I did no soul searching, but I did take one for the team and tested out the latest spa treatment. And it is right up my alley. It was their new signature 80-minute oud massage and facial. And oud is, of course, that super fragrant resinous wood from the Middle East. Gorgeous. So if you don't know them, there is a beautiful upmarket Perth skincare company called Sadashi, and it's just released a line of oud products. It's got this super rich body cream and a fabulous face and body spritz, which has rose and frankincense in it. And it's just, it's divine. Oh, God, it's so good.
Sounds so good. And what else did you do while you were up there? Because I'm sure there was some wine involved.
Well, it is a wine district. I dropped into a cellar door or two. So one that was new for me, it opened just as COVID broke out. And you hear this story all the time, people saying, I started a new business and then COVID dropped, 3 weeks later. This one is called Vamp. It is the passion project of winemaker Lisa McGuigan, whose family is, of course, wine royalty. But she's so edgy. Her cellar door is nothing like the old busty timber sheds or those stark designer spaces you'll find down on the Mornington Peninsula. Her cellar door is literally lined with chainmail and medieval helmets, and the label is Vamp. It was amazing. And she does this. She's super innovative. Like, I met her there and she was just, she's such a great personality. But she does this collaboration with a Newcastle hair and makeup duo called The Boys Studio, and they do these makeup and Merlot sessions. So you drink wine and throw all of this slap on your face. And before you think, oh my God, I come out looking like a clown, they've got a professional there. So you come out just looking absolutely radiant and beautiful and having a couple of glasses of very nice wine. So I got a little makeover by makeup artist Dean, and I've got to say it was just transformative. He found my cheekbones, Kirstie. He found them.
Well, you've got beautiful cheekbones, Belle.
Oh, thank you, darling. Look, I'm going to put a link up to Alicia, Vamp, and the boys' studio in the show notes in case you're in the hood or you need a glam over with a little drink on the side. And while I've been swanning around in a fragrant cloud on the Hunter Valley, what have you been up to, Kirstie?
Well, to be honest, I feel like it's a bit of a race to the year end at the moment, although it's nice that the sun's starting to come out in Melbourne because it's been very cold. But speaking of a race to the year end, stay with us because our tip this week is how by taking just a few days leave over Christmas and Easter, you can have 10 days off. So who doesn't want to know how to make the most of their leave? And now's the time to do it. But kicking off this week, we have some interesting stats for you about how long it takes people to save for their holidays. Because who doesn't want to know what other people do? It's why reality shows are so popular, right? Have a little insight into other people's lives. So money.com reveals that nearly 1/3 of Australians take up to a year to set aside enough funds for a trip.
And another 29% save up for 6 months before jetting off, while just under 20% spend longer than a year saving up for the big trip. And also, just on the flip side of that, 1 in 10 Aussies manages to save for a holiday in less than 3 months.
So the top destination that requires the shortest saving time is, drum roll please, Belle, because you do it so well, is China. Money.com says China offers an incredible mix of ancient and modern marvels, from the Great Wall and historic temples to bustling city experiences like Beijing and Shanghai, with a 10-day trip to China costing around $4,153 and taking 5 months to save. Very specific figures, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just note, with the number of Chinese carriers running into Australia now, getting back up to pre-pandemic rates, there are some amazing deals flying up to China, absolutely incredible. And a friend of mine is on a tour at the moment through Xinjiang, so going out sort of at the beginning of the Chinese end of the Silk Road. Incredible. So I reckon you'll find me in China in the not too distant future. Coming in second with just over 5 months to save for is Thailand. Australians have always had a love affair with Thailand for its climate, the beaches, the food. Oh my goodness, the food and the cultural heritage. And a 10-day trip to this Southeast Asian paradise will cost you around $4,500.
Yes, and not surprisingly, Bali comes in third. More than 1 million Aussies visit Bali each year. And if you've had your head under a rock, it's because of the stunning beaches and the vibrant nightlife and affordable luxury and, of course, beautiful nature. And a 10-day trip to Bali costs around $4,599. God, these figures are blooming cheap, aren't they? 10-day holiday brand.
Yeah, that's got to include. Yeah, I reckon that'd have to include flights. I think you could actually, search around and find it a bit better on that one. But back in the land of the long white cloud, a 10-day trip to New Zealand will set you back about $4,000. They are very specific. They were saying $4,768. But more importantly, takes about under 6 months to save. So where else was on the budget radar, Kirstie?
Flights actually to New Zealand, I'll just point out, are around $1,000 at the moment, which is ridiculously high.
That's Christmas though, isn't it?
No, that's year round. I just went back in October and it was $1,000. Pre-pandemic, it was around $600 to $800, depending what time of year you went. But now off season, it's about $1,000 at the moment. And I was talking to someone the other day who'd flown from Christchurch to Melbourne, and they said they paid $1,600 each. So, yeah.
What? They just had a big sale on too, though, didn't they?
Yeah, but they say that about the sale, and then you go to look at the flights, and there's such specific times and dates that, they're outside of school holidays, they're overnight, all this sort of thing. Anyway, back to the list. Vietnam, Singapore, Fiji, and surprisingly, Italy all rank high on the list, and that's the end of the list that we're going to give you for now. But for more information and money-saving tips, head over to money.com and we will put a link in the show notes too. So how do you go, though, Belle, saving for a holiday?
My friend, it is called a credit card. And I have to say, I'm a very spur-of-the-moment person when it comes to travel. So yeah, I sort of go the opposite way. I slam it on the credit card and then come back and work my tush off to knock off the cost for it. Yeah.
Well,
So what about you? I mean, you are so much more organized than I am. So what do you do? Do you save? Do you have a saving plan? Do you have a spreadsheet? You talk about a spreadsheet, aren't you?
do you know what? I don't do a spreadsheet, but I have to tragically admit that my husband Dave does spreadsheets. He does spreadsheets and literally includes everything, like literally everything. Like if you buy something that's going to contribute to the holiday, like I bought some July suitcases, he put the July luggage on the spreadsheet. Like he puts everything. He can pull out spreadsheets from years ago, from when we've taken the kids on overseas holidays and tell you exactly how much. But we do always make sure we have money for holiday, because I reckon I actually have this issue where if I don't have travel plans, I get really antsy. And I mean, it's a first world problem, I know, but it doesn't have to be a luxury holiday, but I have to have a trip booked because it just gets me, I get really stressed out, or kind of, it's like an antsy thing if I don't have a trip booked, even if it's like 6 months, away.
Yeah, like FOMO. I mean, look, there is a word for that, isn't there? What's that word? It is
Entitled?
You're listening to The World Awaits. Subscribe through our website at theworldawaits.au. This week, I'm chatting to our very own co-host, Kirstie, about her recent trip up to the very far north of Aotearoa, where she had a cultural immersion experience to learn the significance of this particular part of New Zealand. So, Kirstie, are you ready for a grilling? Ha ha.
You're loving.
Let's start. Oh, I love it. Let's start by, just tell us all first where you went and how you got there.
Okay, so back to basics. A lot of people don't actually realise how long it takes to get around New Zealand because it looks relatively small on the map. So from Auckland to the very top of the North Island, which is called Cape Reinga, is about a 6-hour drive. And if you look at a map, you'll see that Auckland already sits quite high in the northern part of the North Island. So that gives you an idea of the driving distances and how far that the remote far north is.
Well, how long does it take to drive from the top to the bottom of the North Island? Because it does look very small.
It does look small. So from Auckland, which is New Zealand's largest city, to the capital Wellington, which is at the bottom of the North Island, it takes about 8 hours, and then add another 6 hours from Auckland to Cape Reinga. And can I just say, you can't drive to... When I worked, I have to tell you this funny story, but when I worked for Tourism New Zealand in my late 20s, we had someone calling us from Australia asking how you drove from Australia to New Zealand.
Are you for real?
So it might have been in America, actually. But I'll never forget that. It was so funny. Anyway, so yeah, and people come here and think that they can just drive from Cape Reinga, which is, like I said, in the very tip of the North Island, down to the South Island in like a day or something. But you really can't. So yeah. So
but you can drive from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the North Island in one day.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then you've got and then you can take a car ferry across the strait to the South.
If you drive from Cape Reinga to Wellington, it's going to take you like minimum. My maths is terrible. What's 8 + 6? Minimum 14 hours. So and the traffic around Auckland is challenging. So just you have to take that into account. So anytime you go out of anywhere from Auckland, there's not a lot of public transport. So the traffic is always tough. So yeah, if you drove from the very top to the very bottom of just the North Island in a straight row, in a straight line, it would take you about 14 hours. So I was staying at Rosewood Kauri Cliffs, which is about a 4-hour drive from Auckland. And it's in a little region called Matauri Bay. So yeah, you just got to be prepared for allocating any amount of time when you're driving in and out of Auckland. But it's roughly about 4 hours. And just what the most spectacular, beautiful little pristine bay, and that sort of epitome of what you expect New Zealand landscape to be, like rolling green hills and aqua waters, just cliffs plunging into the beautiful aqua waters. So that's what it's like up there.
So, I mean, compared to like the South Island where you're talking, where I think most people go, don't they? Like the South is the lure for a lot of people.
It is the lure for a lot of people. Yeah, well, it is for the lure for a lot of people. And a lot of people do what's the golden sort of route, which is Auckland, Rotorua, Wellington, Christchurch, Queenstown. But the North Island and the South Island are just such dramatically different experiences. So the South Island is all sort of mountains and raw, rugged landscape, crashing waves and really very mountainous, and those beautiful peaked mountaintops that you would have seen in sort of the Lord of the Rings landscape. That's what the South Island is like. And the North, while still very untouched, is much more coastal and, like I said before, really beautiful little bays and beaches lined with New Zealand native ferns and the iconic Pahutakawa tree, that's the endemic tree to New Zealand, which has those lipstick red spiky flowers. You might have seen it's frequently on postcards. And it just looks striking against the blue ocean and the green landscape. You can only see it flowering around Christmas time. But what I absolutely love about Northland is the authentic experiences you can have to learn about the significance of this land to the Maori people. So according to the people of Ngāpuhi, which is the tribe of the far north, so basically sort of from Auckland north, the iwi, the local iwi of that area is Ngāpuhi. And the first explorer to reach New Zealand was its ancestor called Kupe. And in 1840, Northland, which is this region, but Caracas is in the very far north of Northland. Northland is where the Treaty of Waitangi was signed, which is the relationship between the Crown in New Zealand and the Maori. So it's very controversial sort of because around the rights of Maori being upheld, but it is seen as New Zealand's founding document.
Oh, amazing. So what was so significant about your experience and where you stayed as well?
So remarkably, and I didn't know this, but most people who stay at Kauri Cliffs or have heard about Maori Cliffs might not know how significant the actual land was. So I didn't realise this until I actually went there, and I went on this guided heritage discovery tour with a guy called Michael Venner, and he's the Rosewood Kauri Cliffs guest relationship manager, and he also does tours as well with his own company, but he's also a descendant of the local Ngāpuhi iwi, which is the tribe that I mentioned before. And he sort of talks to you about the significance of this particular land. So he took us on this incredible journey across the property to learn about its importance, and probably the most moving part of all of that for me. And, I come from New Zealand. I've been to Northland before, but I haven't stayed and been to this particular land, nor have I ever been on a tour with someone from the local iwi. And so we jumped in a little buggy because Kauri Cliffs is on a championship golf course. So we jumped on a little buggy and we went up across the golf course, because you can actually walk and take a little golf buggy around the golf course, even when you're staying there, unless there's like a major tournament going on. And he took us up to this cliff edge, to one of the very highest points, and we were standing on this cliff edge, and he just basically started explaining about how his ancestors' bones were found in the caves below, and it was like there was this gust of wind that sort of came blowing in while we were standing there staring at this pristine landscape, looking out to these beautiful islands over this bluer than blue water, standing on this verdant hillside. And while he was telling us this, and I just got the chills, I mean, it was just remarkable. And while we're standing there, he also explains that this land is also where some of the very first Maori, who weren't Maori then, they were Polynesians when they first arrived to New Zealand via waka.
Okay, I have to ask, sorry, before you go on, what's a waka?
So a waka is the canoe, and interestingly, actually, the Maori can trace their ancestry depending on which waka they arrived on.
No way.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? So, but just being here on that land, as I sort of mentioned before, with a descendant of those people was just such an honour. And Michael was saying to me, it's such an honour to him, but I just thought, gosh, the honour was just all ours. And a tour with Michael also includes, so you walk through the property's totara forest. So there's this, just on the property, there's this tiny little totara forest in the middle of the property. Like, it's beautiful manicured grounds, right? And then behind our villa, it's this little forest. It's just incredible. And I'd actually recorded
hang on.
What's like.
Totara? What's totara?
That's the tree.
Right.
And I actually recorded what it sounds like, and I'm going to play it for you because I had to play it because I recorded what it sounds like while I was there so that everyone could hear what it sounds like when you're walking in this little beautiful forest.
Oh, wow. It really takes you there, doesn't it? It's just so peaceful. That sounds incredible. I always thought this was going to be a great story for you, being somebody from New Zealand and having this already having a connection to the country. And then, going in to have this Maori experience. So what else did Michael do on that tour?
So just getting back to the significance of that land. So as most people would know, just like how significant, say, the Red Centre is to the First Nations people of Australia, this land in New Zealand is sacred to Maori for so many reasons. So it's like what I mentioned before, but also including the flora and the fauna, which, they see as sustenance, and also because of its spirituality, which I did touch on before in regards to the fact that, many of these ancestors were buried there. So in the totara forest, which you just heard, Michael explains the medicinal purposes of some of the plants, including kawakawa, which we tasted. So he just takes off a little leaf and tells us to kind of roll it in our fingers and then taste it. And it had this incredible kind of peppery taste. It was quite remarkable. And he also made a tea using this leaf, which we could drink. And he was telling us that it's used for digestive and stomach issues. So all of these, it's really incredible when you think about the fact that they've, over the years determined these medicinal purposes of all of these plants and the utilization of so many of them. So further along, he gave us a piece of this harakeke flax, which is this type of flax in New Zealand, which has got like a nice sharp edge. And he takes this flax, which looks, quite sharp, and then folds it into a flower, and it was just remarkable. Like in front of us, and then he was teaching us how to fold the flax into a flower to sort of show how versatile the plant is. And this sort of flax, his ancestors use it for many purposes. So obviously they would make things like baskets and mats, and they also used it for storage and for shelter. So that this sort of education, what he was trying to demonstrate to us, is obviously just showing, ensuring that the importance of this is kept alive and it's not lost for future generations.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that education about Indigenous culture is so important, regardless of where you are in the world. And all the latest tourism studies show people are genuinely interested in learning about that. When they travel, they want to connect with the culture that is Indigenous to the country that they.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. And that's exactly right. And it gives you a really true understanding of a place. So you can't, when you're actually, going to this, I was, so excited about going to Carrickless and experiencing this stunning lodge and this beautiful destination. And I love the far north of New Zealand because of all the reasons I mentioned earlier, but because it's just so beautiful. But when you really understand the significance of the land and the true sense of a place, it just changes everything about it. It changes your experience and it makes such memorable moments. And also, while we were there, I was fortunate to meet Carrickless' new culinary director, Jane Cerise Mulry, who's actually from Cairns originally, and she was also executive chef at on Hamilton Island and also at the Waldorf Astoria in Seychelles. And she's now taken over as the head of culinary for 3 of Rosewood's properties. So Carrickless is one of them, and then the others are Cape Kidnappers in Hawke's Bay and Matakauri in Queenstown, which some people might have heard of, more stunning lodges in New Zealand. And I was sitting there while I was sipping on this Maori tea that we were given, which I have to say was just, oh my God, so delicious. Because I was asking her what she's planning on doing now that she's new there, and what her direction is. And she was saying that, and I didn't talk to her about the tour or anything about that, but she was just saying that given the significance of the land,
she
wants to incorporate more Indigenous ingredients in the menu, and I just thought that was just that's so wonderful that they are. That now Rosewood took over at the end of last year, and they're really going out of their way to ensure that they are, making people aware of this land, and it's so done in such an authentic way, and then incorporating those plants that are just sitting on their doorstep in their own little forest into the ingredients into the menu, I just love that. And can I say the food was already just so exceptional. So Mum and I had the 36-hour slow cooked lamb, and when it was served, the service at Carrickless is just beyond. I mean, it is really exceptional. And when they brought this lamb to the table, so they bring it to the table and they put it down on the table, and they just took a spoon because it was so tender that he literally just got a spoon and like carved into it, and it was just falling off the bone with a spoon.
Oh my goodness, that is tender. And you were there in spring, right? Spring lamb. And it's a working farm with sheep everywhere. So amazing. So clearly need to visit New Zealand in spring. So tell us, I just want you to backtrack to that tea. You were saying you were sipping Maori tea. So
yes, we were. But I just will say, because since mentioned spring, that when we were driving around the property, if you go in spring, it's such a remarkable time to go because, like you said, it's a working farm, and there was literally a lamb birthed while we were driving. And so we were going around with Deborah, who's another manager at the property. She's an incredible guide, and she took us around and she's a guest services manager, but she also will guide you around the property. And she was taking us on this tour around the property, and she just stops the car because this lamb was being birthed right in front of us, which was just so incredible experience. And there were also calves bounding around everywhere, and so it was very cute. But yes, to the Maori tea. So it's puriri and kanuka tree and lemon myrtle, and I could have just drunk it all day, but it was such a beautiful tea. I actually had to ask for another cup of it later on because I was just enjoying it so much. And the local wines are pretty good too. There was a 2021 Syrah from Mahinipua Bay, which you'll have to head on over to New Zealand to try, but unless you want to pay the shipping, and I'm sure you can get it delivered, and if anyone is going to do that, drop me a line and I will go in on some of that exceptional wine because it was just so smooth. It was like drinking velvet.
Oh, gorgeous. So come on, Kirstie, tell us what it is like staying in a $3,500 a night villa.
Oh, look, it was so lovely. Mum and I stayed in a Grand Ocean View junior suite. So look, this is the thing, right? You can go with your partner and have this super king plush amazing bed, or you can go with your mum or your friend and they'll just separate it into twin beds. So it's all sort of Hampton style and as the main lodge as well. That's, the design style, just beautiful and really sprawling spacious. So you walk in the door. So there's separate villas, right? They're literally like little cottages. And so you walk in the door and we had a massive walk-in robe on one side, which you could literally fit a single bed in if you wanted to, and a huge freestanding bathtub in the oversized bathroom on the other side. And then you walk down the little hallway and there's the bedroom and a little lounge area with a gas fireplace, which I could just watch all day long. But the most amazing part was actually when you've got a little balcony. So if you go out your French doors and you're standing on the balcony looking across that manicured golf course, which is one of the world's top 50 courses, and you can see right across to the ocean. And after a tour with Michael and listening to that tui ringing out across this vivid green landscape, it was just magical.
Sounds magical, but you've got to backtrack for the Aussie again, please. What is a tui?
So the tui is the endemic bird that you just heard in the forest a little bit earlier. So it's got a really distinctive little white tuft on its chest, and it's got emerald coloured wings. It's very cute.
Oh, it sounds gorgeous. And so what else can you do when you are staying at Kauri Cliffs?
So yes, go out with Deb on a tour because she's one of the most passionate people I've ever met in my entire life, and she will take you all across the property and explain her favourite places. And one of her favourite places was Pink Beach. So I actually then later on took myself for a walk to Pink Beach. And I have to say, everyone said to me before I left, because actually when I left, I said to her I was going to walk there, and she said, oh, it's very steep coming back. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. And then when I went to walk, I passed the golf shop, and there was a woman in a buggy coming up, and I just said to her, oh, can I just check which direction I go, even though they're signposted, but, directionally incompetent person here. Which way do I go to get to Pink Beach? And she said to me, just take see that little bridge, go over that little bridge, cross the manicured, beautiful golf course, turn right. You'll see that little something else, little tree in the distance. Just see that and go down there and you'll be there. And she said, but it's really tough getting back up. So, don't feel bad if you have to call for a pickup. And I was like, no, I'm not calling for a pickup. And she was like, oh yeah, but just don't feel bad if you have to, because you'll be. So anyway, I did it, and it took me an hour to walk there and back, and it was steep. It was like coming back was like, yeah, it was vertical almost coming back up, but I refused to give in even after all that beautiful wine the night before. So yes, go for a walk to Pink Beach, and if it's Christmas time or coming up to Christmas time, then this is the time when the colours are just remarkable, because you'll get those Pohutukawa flowers are out, that Pohutukawa tree I mentioned before. And so you get that experience of those contrasting, vibrant colours, like the crimson flowers against the green of the flaxes and the cabbage trees and the blue of the ocean. And the shells, hence the name, the shells on the beach are pink. So it's just a beautiful place to go. And the other things you can do when you're there is they also have horses. So you can go on a horse ride, kayaking, fishing, and take a heli tour. And also don't skip the spa, because I had the most beautiful experience at the spa. So I have to tell you a little story. But
tell me a spa story.
I was having a massage, the signature massage, which was incredible. And she kept putting eucalyptus or something in her hand and waving it under my face, and it sort of brought me back to that. I'm thinking, this is just so bizarre, but it just smelled so amazing. It was such an intimate experience. And then when she was massaging me, the music stopped playing. So there was this beautiful, obviously as there are in spas, that's beautiful, soothing music playing. And this bird song came through, and I was thinking, now the music's turned to bird song. And it wasn't until she left the room and afterwards, when I was getting changed, that I walked over to the window, because the spa sits adjacent to this totara forest I've mentioned a few times. And I realised it wasn't music, it was actually the birds. It was the tuis singing for me.
Oh, gorgeous. That is just, it's total full circle stuff, isn't it? You've got bird song, beautiful scenery, Indigenous lessons of the land, great food, spa. Seriously, it doesn't get any better than that. Oh, it sounds just wonderful, Kirstie. And you can read more about Kirstie's experiences at carryon.com.au and search Rosewood Kauri Cliffs, and we will put a link to her full story in the show notes.
Our tip this week is how to maximise your leave over Christmas and Easter. And did you know, Belle, that it's only 6 weeks until Christmas?
Oh, I have anxiety just thinking about it, especially if, like me, you are not ready for the blooming jacarandas and the bellowing Mariah Carey Christmas tunes. If you are like me, you may not have considered your Christmas leave. But actually, look, to be honest too, I'm freelance. I am a woman of my own destination, and, I call the shots of myself. But if you are not a jobbing freelance journalist, listen in.
Do you like Mariah Carey tunes? Do you play the old Mariah Carey tunes when you're
I
Does Yasmin like Mariah Carey? I bet she does.
Yeah. She totally does. But I mean, everybody else loves Mariah. When you're in the Uber, when you're in the shopping centre, it's inescapable. So, but I think I'd prefer Mariah over Bing. Bing just like, he gets a bit turgid.
Bing?
Must be.
Oh, okay.
He's been going for like 1,000 years, as opposed to Mariah's, 15-year domination of the Christmas tunes charm.
Yes.
Don't mind a bit of Wham getting in there. I'm like,
I do love Christmas tunes. There's one. I had this Aussie Christmas CD that I used to play the kids, because I wanted them. I mean, they're Aussies, and they that's all they know. I mean, we're all Aussie citizens now, but they're Aussies. They've got Aussie accents and everything. And it was It wasn't very PC, but but I used to love it because it was all about it was all those typical
white boomers.
Yes, and I love that. I love those Aussie, and I wish I still had it because I bet you I've thrown it out. But I'm going to find it and I'm going to play my Aussie Christmas tunes. But yeah, I really loved it. I mean, it reminded me that I'm because I'm so grateful to live in Australia. But anyway, moving on. So we've done the hard work for you with the help of seek.com.au. And if you take off Friday, the 27th of December, you might want to write this down. So take off Friday, the 27th of December, and Monday, the 30th, and Tuesday, the 31st, just those 3 days, and you get a 10-day break between Saturday, the 21st, and Wednesday, the 1st of January. And that's if your office doesn't already automatically shut down, which most do over this period of year.
Yeah, I know. It's like, if you are working in those middle parts, it is very, very hard to get anything done. But for those who do have to work through and have already booked Christmas leave or it's too late to apply, which it shouldn't be, it's only 6 weeks out. If they had, you should be maybe looking for a new employer as your New Year goal if they say no. But look, that's for another day. Hold on to your pants because you can get a 10-day break in April by taking just 3 days off. So get your pens out. So you're right.
Yes, get your pens out. So it's all about flexibility these days when it comes to a good employer. So by taking off Tuesday, the 22nd of April, Wednesday, the 23rd, and Thursday, the 24th, you get Easter beforehand and then Anzac Day. And with the weekend, boom, 10 days off, ending on April the 27th, which is very important because it's my birthday on the 28th.
I would ask you what you're doing for your birthday, but that would be ridiculous. No, actually, you've probably got it planned already. But that is too far in advance for me. So I'm just going to ask instead, what are you doing for Christmas, Kirstie?
I will be down at Smith's Beach on Phillip Island, soaking up the sun and sitting and
me.
Having the gorgeous hiking trails, which I can't resist every single time I'm there. And what about you, Belle? You're going to be down on the Pen? Is that what they call it? Did they call it the Pen?
Not really.
Because you think I'm saying pin because of my accent.
No, I didn't say that. Because I knew what notes you were going with. Mornington Peninsula. I just say I'm going down to Dramana. Which, look, I think I am. I'm not sure. I may have a last minute sneak away. If I do get the tickets, I will tell you. I'm not going to say it because I'm going to jinx myself if I don't. But don't worry about missing out if you're on holiday because we will have our special summer series coming to you from mid-December. So you will be able to continue listening to our dulcet tones. So I'm so excited to bring you my next guest. Next week, Lisa Blair is an extraordinary woman. She's a professional sailor. She sailed around Antarctica not once, but twice. And when we were recording her interview, I literally had goosebumps at some of the hair-raising adventures she shared. And she's such a powerful speaker. I know you're going to love this interview.
And please give us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. Click on our profile, scroll down to the bottom to ratings and reviews and hit those 5 stars. And if you're on Spotify, go to our main page, click the 3 dots underneath our photo. And just remember, you can always drop us a line. We love to hear from listeners, so please just drop us a little note at hello@theworldawaits.au. And please give us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. Click on our profile, scroll down to the bottom to ratings and reviews and hit those 5 stars. And if you're on Spotify, go to our main page, click the 3 dots underneath our photo. And just remember, you can always drop us a line. We love to hear from listeners, so please just drop us a little note at hello@theworldawaits.au.
That's a wrap for The World Awaits this week. Click to subscribe anywhere you listen to your favourite pods. And where can people find you, Kirstie?
I'm at Kirstie Writes on Instagram. That's KIRSTIE Writes, WRITES. And where can people find you, Belle?
You can find me at globalsalsa.com or on Insta at global_salsa.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.